Welcome to the Molly Empowered Narratives podcast, where we work towards mastering empathetic navigation. I'm your co-host Jordan Flowers.
I'm Trey Mosley.
I'm Jacob Hale.
I'm BJ Wilson.
And we got a special episode with the season 2 recap, and we're all together again. How we feeling today?
I mean, it's great being together again. We haven't been able to be together for about 4 months?
It's been about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. A lot of ups and downs with the technology stuff, but wrapping the season up, it's great to be done with season 2 now.
Absolutely, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit. But yeah, how we feeling in terms of being together and just getting the crew back together for this episode?
Man, I mean, it's great. Definitely blessed with everyone here and what we got going on for sure. It's like you said, there's a lot of ups and downs, but at the same time, it never felt like people were like giving up or anything like that. It's like, absolutely. All right, what's next? How are we gonna do this? It's like, okay, not this week, gotta do it next week, so everyone still had that laser focus of trying to accomplish everything, so that was great.
Absolutely.
Brother, it's the holidays. I got the guys in my home. It's a lovely feeling. It's a lovely feeling. I love it.
Absolutely. And for people that do not know, our podcast is based, I live in Omaha, but our podcast is based down here in St. Louis. Can I say y'all adopted me yet? Have y'all adopted me?
Yeah, you got adopted.
Yeah.
All right, so now
I'm from St. Louis, but
I'm not from St. Louis, but this is my adopted home now with the guys being down here. So we appreciate this, and it's a nice, beautiful setup. And happy holidays from us as well. We're going to get some Christmas parties, but get us some Christmas parties. But let's get into it, man. Season 2 recap. And I'll go with Trey first on this. We had a lot of ups and downs, right? We had a lot of things that was going on. What's funny enough is we started off with the season, Summer of Self-Awareness.
Yep.
Now we're in December, just wrapping stuff up. So it should really be Winter of Self-Awareness. But in terms, I want to start on the downs or some of the challenges. What are some of the challenges that you think, or can you explain to our audience that we faced during this show?
I would say a big thing that we had was trying to figure out what streaming service would work for us, transitioning from only audio to going to video and audio.
Right.
As we had the first one that didn't work, and then we jumped to StreamYard, and then StreamYard was a lot easier. And then we had internet issues. We had issues with some of the stuff not recording, and some people's recordings would get cut out.
Absolutely. Man, and that was the most frustrating thing. So I guess a funny story in terms of the technology was our first episode that we tried to record. I don't know if y'all remember this. I had recorded the whole thing, and I think I made somebody a producer. And
so you couldn't see him. Yeah.
I couldn't see him. So we had recorded a great episode, and people don't even know, bro, how many times did we have to try to record? And then we had to stop.
Yeah.
So we had to cancel 4 or 5 recordings, bro, in a row. So that was definitely a big challenge for us as well. Any other challenges that you can speak to, Hill, in terms of the season?
It was just the fact that, like we said, kind of just building it as we're flying it. So you're running into an issue, but it's not like people had a lot of experience in the issue. Talking about internet stuff, how do we fix the internet? So next day, I'm in Best Buy, okay, well, how do I get a stronger Wi-Fi? What do I do? What can I do here? And kind of just carried over, with other things. Social media is okay, what do we want to post? How are we going to make this content? What do we want it to look like? Even something as simple as making promos, how do I download this, keep the quality good, be able to put what I want on it and stuff, and get back to you guys in a timely manner. So it was tough. It was tough, but
absolutely.
Let's do it.
One thing I do want to point out before I go to BJ with this question is, I think a lot of people do not know, and we talk about it a lot, but we all starting something in terms of our own individual careers, right? So we got a lot going on in that aspect of just we're just now getting into the workforce for a lot of us. So we're trying to navigate that thing as well. But on top of that, we do all this stuff in-house. Everybody is in-house. It's not like we're using anybody. So the fact of the matter is, it is a lot of challenges with that. But in saying that though, I got a good group of guys around me in terms of the technology stuff, y'all take care of that over there on that couch.
Yeah.
On that couch,
That's the tech.
that's the tech set. That's the
Squad
tech
over here.
But it's dope because people don't know, like, we put out great quality of content and all of that, but all of that has to happen within these 4 group of people and on top of our own busy schedules,
Yeah.
getting to where we want to go to. So that's definitely been a challenge for us as well.
And speaking of busy schedules, if I hop in here, I'll give you a second, but that just reminded me of a funny story. A lot of people don't know, again, we're trying to do all this on top of having, we're all working, or we're all in school, so it was August and September. All the recordings that came out of there, I was working 60 to 70 hours a week at my job. Yeah, because we had this crazy project that came in, and we were just behind. We just had to do what we take. But that kind of just speaks on what we're talking about. Is that there may have been a gap in time, or you just never know what's going on in people's lives before we hit the record. There's just a lot that was going on, but then when we got to record, it's like, okay, we still need to put out some great content, right? Yeah. And there's definitely one time we probably did a recording, and I went back to work. I left out. I was like, all right, appreciate you, Trey, great, and stuff like that. Went straight back to the office.
That just goes to show you how much we dedicate to this, and on top of our own schedule. So I'll go to you, BJ. What do you say was one of those big challenges or hurdles that we had to face in terms of season 2?
Just a little bit of inconsistency. So when we switch back and forth between the platforms we use, there's obviously going to be different struggles, I guess, with what we're doing. So we started using StreamYard right away. I think the second recording we did on StreamYard, I usually edit the night before. It's just like how I like to do it.
Right.
I go to download the clip. It says 8 hours. You remember that? Remember when I told you it said 8 hours, and then from 8 hours it changed to a day. I restarted my laptop. I tried a bunch of different things. Nothing would change. It just kept giving me ridiculous time frames of downloading. I tell Jordan, it's just not going to happen tonight. It's not going to happen. I don't know what to tell you. And I go to try again to download it in the morning. 20 seconds.
That's crazy.
This technology is unpredictable at times, and it's annoying. But I'm a tech guy, I love it, so it is what it is. I love editing, and so just inconsistent stuff.
And that and especially with that technology stuff is I think we all had collectively, every time we came to the table with an episode or something that we wanted to talk about, we all was prepared. Like I said, it was 5 to about good 5 to 8 times. All right, we about to shoot. Usually we shoot on Sundays and Wednesdays, right, or somewhere in the middle of the week. But then it'd be okay, it's not gonna work. Something is off, the internet connection is off, whatever the case may be. So it was a lot of hurdles to jump with that, but that's something I'm definitely looking forward to in terms of getting that fixed for season 2.
Of course.
But I do want to transition, because this is modeling and pod narrative, so we talk about that positive stuff around here. Yeah. I do want to talk about the advantages or something that we got to learn, or something that was dope about this season. And I'll start again with you, Trey. What is something positive that you took away from this season?
I would definitely say positive is that we were very easy to adapt to a lot of different situations. Mm-hmm. With us, one day it didn't let us. Not everybody could get into the studio at that one day. I think it was you, or it was either you or Hale who couldn't get in the studio, and we just couldn't even do it. And we were like, all right, I guess we're just gonna do it tomorrow. And then we all flipped our schedules around, and we did it again tomorrow. It's just seeing that all of us are extremely dedicated to making sure that all these episodes get done, and making sure that we don't just slop something together. We actually have good episodes, and they're not rushed or anything like that.
Absolutely. That's the point, is giving that great quality of content, especially with the stuff that we talked about. We want to make sure that it's very raw and authentic. We don't want to just give generic type of vibes. So I'll go to you, Hale. Something advantageous, or something positive, or something that you could take away from this season in terms of something good that will help us in season 3.
I'd say 2 things. Is that, one, we were very genuine in our approach to this. I mean, you do the write-ups and everything, and we take time and look through it and stuff, but there's not gimmicks that we put in there. We don't sit down. It's okay, and then at this point you crack a joke, and then that'll get people laughing, or try to start crying or something. It was just very genuine. So some episodes we kind of just go on a little tangent, and it was just natural. And other episodes was just really heavy. We just had some things on our mind that we felt the need to share out. And I feel like that resonated with a lot of people, you know. We get great feedback, you know, especially for how small we are and how small of an operation it is. We do get great feedback. And that's what a lot of people say is that, you know, it just, you guys are real. And it's hard to hear and see realness, you know, on TV, on social media, all that stuff. So I think just the fact that we did everything that we can to keep it genuine, be ourselves, you know, don't play a different role, don't get out of character or anything. And then the second thing I would say is that, kind of fall with that, we played our roles very well.
Absolutely.
And what our strengths are was we did a great job of maximizing our strengths and trying to minimize our weaknesses. So like when we're done with the tape, we give it to BJ, no questions asked. Full confidence in BJ's, like BJ's gonna be fine. You know, And people go to social media posts, they're just like, all right, this is what I'm thinking, Jacob. There you go. Like, give me like a framework and then let me create, and then I just send them like a finished product. So just stuff like that, you know, it's great that to have all that trust and to allow people to use their strengths and you know, give them confidence.
Absolutely. BJ,
yes, sir.
Question is on you. What is something that you think that we can take away from this season that's something positive that will continue to propel our podcast forward, what we're talking about forward, into the laps and listeners of a lot of people that's out there that might be going through some of the things that we talk about?
Yeah. So kind of bouncing off what Hill just said, it gives you a chance to be more creative with what your strengths are. So, you know, you're a great writer, you know, you come up with a synopsis of the episode, the description, all that. Great episode titles, you know, the more you go along, the more creative you got to be to make sure things look different.
Right.
So that's a phenomenal aspect from you. For me personally, I also love creating stuff, like Hill was saying. I think last night, I just got to thinking, I'm like, man, I love content. And I got like 20 ideas for stuff we could do over break, over the next season and stuff. I started writing down in my notebook, and then, okay, well, I got to start actually trying to do it. It's not just going to happen. So I started like 3-4 random passion projects on Photoshop and Premiere Pro last night, trying to get stuff ready for the next season. So it just gives you it doesn't just give you a chance to be more creative, it kind of forces you to open up your mind and look at things in a different way and start progressing.
And I do want to point this out. Trey does the most phenomenal job of being Trey. We call him, he knows, I call him Channing Crowder. I'm a Pivot podcast episode. Shout out to what they do. Trey, there's only one Trey.
Yeah.
He brings Trey, and he's been a tremendous help for me in terms of just being able to bounce ideas. Obviously, with him even giving me the idea to even start this podcast, and just the energy that he brings to it is like, you can't replicate that. You can't replicate the things that he, you know, and all of us bring something a little bit different. And I think that's will be my answer to the question for what's going to propel us forward is like, I try to give all of y'all autonomy to do what's best for y'all. I need Trey to be the best Trey. I need Hale to do what he does and maximize that. And then when you maximize yours, it kind of, what it does is put, like you said, put that pressure on all of us. So let's turn this up. Like he doing it, Trey doing it. Okay, when I seen y'all was coming with that energy, all right, Jordan, it's time. Like I came with some energy, now it's time to turn this up a little bit.
Shoot, you came with the best.
Yeah, shout out to the merch.
Yes, sir.
So, but it just goes to show, like, we get to elevate one another is that when we see each other really serious and dedicated about this, it's like, okay, how can I step what I do and bring to the table up? And that's what helps us out a lot. And I think that's going to propel us, not only past the season, but like just in terms of our impact, you know, worldwide. I think we can definitely push that out more to the masses. So absolutely. We at Mend the Podcast would like to give a partnership shout out to our guy Mark Cakes. Get at him for all your exclusive sneaker needs, sneaker drops, and future drops as well. There's no better combination than good kicks and good mental health. So we're back, and we were talking a little bit about the advantages, disadvantages from this season, right? Mm-hmm. But I want to focus a little bit more with this next question on terms of like future, right? What we got planned for the future, some things that we got in the works that we don't want to give too much away, but something that you're excited about, or some ways you think we should move forward, or some things that get our listeners excited for us in terms of season 3. So I'll start with you, BJ. What is something in terms of season 3 or and beyond that the listeners and our fans can be anticipating from us?
Well, I seem to remember talks about men at night.
Men at night. Oh, that's our real personality right there.
Yeah.
Men at night. Oh yeah, man. That might have to be that might be on the Patreon.
That's
Shout out to the Patreon.
Listen. If you guys want it, we'll put together a Patreon and do a little men at night.
We'll do a little Men at night so they get to know the guys, right?
Yeah.
We still modeling power narratives outside. We just we might just be having a little fun.
We can be a lot more uncut,
a little bit more uncut, absolutely.
Yeah.
But hell, yeah, I think you also speaking to just our natural personality types, which we starting to see blossom, especially from our first episode. We starting to see us get into our actual personalities a lot more. So I'll go with you here. What is something that you're looking forward to in terms of like how we're moving forward? Or give the fans something that they can nibble on for a little bit while we take this break.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. There's so much untapped potential, especially with the content that we can put together and post out. I mean, even right now, doing a live action like this, there's just so much we're gonna be able to put together and produce. So I'm really excited about that.
And goes to my boy Trey. What's something that you can give the fans, or something that you're looking forward to in terms of how we move forward as a podcast that will get these fans and listeners excited?
I would say that something I'm looking forward to is being able to see like more of our characters develop and getting more of that growth through us talking with each other, having these tough conversations, and just really starting to understand each other better than we did when we first started, before we started, and as we moved through the seasons.
And I think that's the dope thing about our podcast is that even though we are friends, but like we're coming in a busy sector in everybody's life, right? Everybody's trying to figure themselves out. We got jobs, we got our own separate lives. I think the dopest thing about this is I've seen how close we have gotten, not as just a podcast, but just as friends. Me getting to learn why y'all are the way y'all think, because at that point it was just an assumption, right? But getting to know you guys, and I know that y'all feel the same way, getting to know you guys has been the dopest experience because not only are we putting out great content, but it's also a bonding moment every time we get to go on camera, every time we get to shoot. It's us being together, learning each other, and like our strengths and weaknesses, like you were saying. So that is a dope thing for sure, and that's something I look more forward to as well. Is just our personalities blossom a lot more. I think our last couple episodes I was being a little too joking, but that's okay. That's who I am. Am I a very unserious person? Would y'all say? Would y'all call me serious or not?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
You know when you're locking.
Okay.
I think that's a good thing for all of us that we all know how to do is when it's time to get serious and down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Except for this one. No, I'm just playing. That's my guy right here. But I want to go ahead and go into, there's a question that we got, and I do want to answer it because I think this is an important thing. We try to branch out and, hear from our fans and respect what they're saying and, tune into what they're saying as well, because that's what makes the podcast so great, and we'll keep it moving forward. So I'll start with you, Trey. The question is, what's something that you wish that you could tell your younger self?
I would say the thing that I would tell my younger self would be like be ready for hard times, because I hadn't had a lot of hard times, but then when they came, and it was more so they happened when I was like by myself. I like went to school when we were in college, and I just wasn't ready for like some of the adversity that I had experienced. So I would prepare myself more, I would say.
What is something that you can tell or you would advise your younger self in the shoes that you're in today?
I would have told them put all of your money in Bitcoin. I 100%. We would have been rich.
I guess that's
we would have been rich. But on a serious note, I would have definitely told them, you gotta trust the process. It's never gonna happen when you want it to happen, but as long as you're constantly working hard and preparing, when it comes, you'll be right there, ready to go. So I just say trust the process.
Absolutely. BJ?
Younger BJ craved everyone's approval. Only person's approval he needed was his own. So I just tell him, you don't got to worry about what other people think about you. You don't got to worry about fitting in. Just be you, and you'll be fine in life.
I love that.
I love that. I think for me, especially speaking to like all the identity stuff that I talked about in the last couple episodes, if you ain't already checked that out, make sure you're checking this out because we shooting this coming out a little bit later. But anyway, long story short, I would just say, my younger self, I would just say, the world and your friends is gonna love you for who you are one day. I thought, like, just speaking to the approval thing, like, I think I was so ready to be approved and loved by everybody, and that I was willing to, like, not have any boundaries and stuff like that. But now stepping and being authentic is like, dang, like, I never would have felt like my guys would love me just for being Jordan. So that would be something I would say, is just hold on a little bit longer. And rough times, or tough times don't last, but tough people do, right?
Yes, sir.
Very cool.
Well, phenomenal.
But to wrap this up, I want to give a little, before we get into wrapping this episode, I would want you guys to give a piece of advice or some motivation or something for our fans, our listeners, or even somebody that's potentially wanting to come in and listen to what we're talking about. Something for the viewers, a piece of advice, life advice, financial for him, because you know he big on Mr. Finance over here. But I'll start with you, BJ. What is a piece of advice that you would give to our listeners out here?
Knowing me and asking me to come up with a piece of advice off the dome is crazy.
Very crazy.
But
Very crazy.
I got you. It's the same thing I've been preaching every episode I've been at the end. Find something you love doing and do it. Just enjoy life, live life, have fun with it, be you, and yeah. And there's nothing better to do than be yourself.
Absolutely.
I mean, I try to say as much as I can. I'll always say it. Some point, you just have to go out and do something. It's really what it comes down to. And we give thousands of examples of it every episode. And like I said, all the troubles that we go through. But at the same time, we realize we just got to do it. Just how it is. We got to put it together. We got to make sure it's right. And that would be what I say. If you're looking at this for the first time, or you're interested in what we're about, we want to see the best out of people.
Right.
We're never in a position where we feel like we're better than anyone else or anything like that. It's just shared experiences. We're just trying to help one another. And that's the one thing I always want to preach, is that, fortunate if you're listening to us or you're going to listen to us, but also whenever you turn us off, that's when it's real world, man. That's where the work happens. So you just got to be willing to put in the work. So.
The thing that I would say would be, you're never alone. There's always somebody who will be there for you. Whether it's you reaching out to one of us, or whether it's family, friends, just anything like that, you're never alone in any battle that you go through. You might have to do things alone, but you're never by yourself.
Absolutely, that's a big one, especially when we're talking about mental health. I think mine would have to be work related, and it's just a simple quote. It's just work. It's just work. It's the same thing we've been doing our whole lives, and how I view work and our mindset towards work just has to change. And my mindset towards work is the worst thing that could come about work or working at something is what? I got a little bit better. Just got a little bit better at it. So if the worst thing I can do is from working on something or working on myself is get a little bit better, then why wouldn't I do it? So that would be my piece of advice. But this was a great recap episode. I'm very excited for season 3, wrapping up season 2 and all the things that we have in store while we're on this little break to make sure that season 3 is going to be popping. I think season 3 going to be busting. It's going to be busting a lot. So, but before we go, we want to make sure, subscribe, like, share, hit that bell if you're on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
It's free.
It's free. The support is free.
You can always unsubscribe if you want. But
No,
we don't
want that. We don't want that.
You can't. We don't get those back.
Oh, we don't get those back?
Nah, we don't get those back.
If you subscribe, you're in a 360 deal per track. 360. Absolutely. But make sure that you share the content, because, like I said, we got a lot gearing up towards season 3, and we want, and we value and appreciate that love that our fans and our listeners give to us. So make sure that you tap in, and we hope to see you soon.
So,
Absolutely.
Peace.